All right, this is Ryan over at Ryan Talks. I wanted to talk about something that Buddha said whenever Buddha was around, that all your attachments and your desires are the root of all suffering. And when you look at it objectively and subjectively, he's right. And I wanted to talk about this. So here we are. So over the many years that I've been on this planet, I've had different forms of attachments and desires. And I know everybody that I know, you see it in them, no matter what it is. Maybe it's cars, maybe it's, video games, maybe it's, houses, whatever, people collecting houses, some of my family members, but whatever it is, like I know a lot of cyclists and they got like 35 bikes. How do you ride 35 bikes? How do you do this? Like I've got like 3 or 4 and I don't ride them all at the same time. How do you do it? You know what I mean? They build entire garages around their possessions and, and they worry about it and they put security systems in and they're like, oh man, that's a really rare one. If that one goes, I don't know what I would do. And you start wondering to yourself, like, why are you so attached to it? Like, what is causing the attachment to this object? What is causing to this desire? Like for me, desire is more on the female side. You desire certain females, right? But what is it about this desire? I don't really have attachments to most things, right? I mean, I run an eBay. I'm closing out the eBay life, but I do run an eBay, and most of the stuff that I began with was stuff that I own because I just don't have attachment to stuff. It's just, I do have some boxes of some stuff down here that I probably even sell that before summer. I don't know. But what causes this? It's got to be something that you can't let go of. And you really have to sit down, maybe even sit down with that object and ask yourself what it is about this object. Now, I'm not saying women are objects, so don't go there. Don't start making comments. I'm just saying, like, I'm looking at some stuff down here, right? And if it goes, it goes. Like, most of it's collecting dust. Like, most of the stuff in your life is dust collectors. And who needs more dust in their house, right? There's, like, if you go out in nature, you see dust. We're the only ones that collect enough stuff that you have to have dust in your house. It's ridiculous. What is it about the attachments to these objects that you can't let go of? And I think this is where you need to start. Or what is it about having a female companion or male companion or whatever it is that you like? What is it about this that, like, when it's over, like, why do you get so, like, you can't handle it? You cannot handle when this is over, or you cannot handle when this object is out of your life. You can't handle it. And what is it about this? You've got to analyze this if you want to move on. Most people don't like their jobs, right? Most people can't stand their jobs, so they buy stuff to make themselves gratified in that exact moment. But instead of buying all this stuff, could you possibly just get rid of that job? Could you just move down the ladder? Are you attached to the outcome of this job? Are you attached to the outcome of this desire? Because if you're attached to this stuff, the attachment doesn't actually have to even be stuff. You might have a certain, like if I finally date this woman, like she's so good looking, people will really respect me then. So you're attached to the outcome, not so the person is just, there. Right? They're just happen to be somebody who showed a little bit interest in you. And I'm not saying this is for everybody, there are people who, genuinely date people for the person and not some kind of outcome like sex or like trophy wife or whatever it is, or like, man, and I got, I don't know, like, so years ago, I was working at a bank just north of Philadelphia in a city called Bluebell. And I was working there, and it was a slow branch, man. I mean, the only reason I even got the job is like, yeah, I'm like, I can handle boredom, right? I'll just go in my mind, I'll meditate while I'm there. And they're like, whatever, you got the job, just go start. And one day I was sitting there, and this dude that I work with pulls out this wallet, and it's by some brand called Louis Vuitton. And I'm like, I have no idea. You know, he's bragging about this wallet. And I'm like, that thing is ugly. He's like, how can you say this is ugly? It's a Louis Vuitton. I'm like, it's still ugly. I'm like, oh, how much did you pay for this thing? And he's attached to this name, and he starts defending it like crazy. He's like, I can't believe, how do you not know Louis Vuitton? Like, where have you been your entire life? You know, like, are you real? And I'm like, you still haven't answered the question. How much does this thing cost? And it's like $600 or $700 for the wallet. It's ugly. Just so he buys it because of the name. Does he like it? I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, it was like brown and like beige. I'm like, I mean, could you get something a little more extravagant? It's ridiculous what people will attach themselves to just because of a name or, you know, like an outcome. Like he can whip this thing out and they're like, oh my gosh, you got a Louis Vuitton. How do you have that? You know, like, did you sell your car to get this thing? And this is why people buy this stuff. They're attached to what people are going to say about the fact that you've got this thing. Or they're attached to the outcome of, like, you're going to a party and you got this like gorgeous woman with you and you're like, well, how did you score her? Or they attach themselves to maybe like sexual desires that they have because they can't stand themselves. So they figure like if they have enough sex and then all of a sudden start liking themselves, which isn't the case. I've been there. It doesn't work. You know, it doesn't work. What you have to do is, there's a book actually by David Hawkins called Letting Go. I'm actually going to go in way more detail about this in another video at some point in the future. And what you do is you sit down. Now, he didn't talk about sitting down with the object. He just talked about sitting down. And here we go with my candle again. But I like to light a candle and sit there and stare at a flame and just let it flow out. But I actually think that you could probably sit with the object. Now, again, women are not objects. But if you've got an attachment to buying stuff like this Louis Vuitton ugly ass wallet, you got to sit down with this ugly ass wallet. And why do you have it? I mean, you know, like, I don't even own a wallet. I got this thing. You know, it's actually an insurance card holder that I found at my job. And I'm like, oh, that'll work. I don't care about this kind of stuff. And I don't know why people get so hung up on this stuff. I mean, when you really look at it, if it didn't have that name on it, you'd be like, man, that thing is ugly. But you put a name on it, you put an attachment to it, you put an outcome to it. And all of a sudden, you got to have it. You can't live without this thing. Or whatever it is. Like, for a long time, I was collecting amiibos. If you're a video game person, you'll know what this is. If you're a Nintendo fan, you know what this is. I had every single one. Every single one. It was ridiculous how much money I was spending on these things, because some of them I had to import from Japan. Some of them, you know, like my buddy and I, you know, we spent $700 some odd getting in a bunch of these things from Japan because you couldn't find them in America. And, you know, it was ridiculous. So we were going way overboard on these things. We had this attachment. We had this outcome. We had the, like, I don't even know, because nobody cared outside of us, right? You know, like, this is one of them things. Nobody cares about this stuff. People want to express themselves, but no one cares. You buy this stuff because you think, you put out that thought that when you finally have all of these things, then you'll be complete. And a matter of fact, like 2 or 3 years ago, I sold the entire thing because we needed rent, and I sold the entire thing. And I have no attachments to it. I was like, oh, you know, like for 2 seconds, and I'm like, wait a minute. It's just a bunch of plastic wrapped in plastic with a cardboard back. That's all it is. And it's just, once you can break things down to the level that they're actually occupying. So like a bike, like I love bikes, right? But they're metal with some rubber on the bottom, you know? That's it. So, or they're actually carbon fiber, plastic, whatever the hell you want to call it, and with some rubber on the bottom. But at the bottom line, people sending me text. The bottom line is, when it's not around, you're still you. The only thing that you really need is oxygen and food. Other than that, the rest of it is just whatever happens. You can't take it with you. The only thing that you can take with you when you go is your thoughts. your experiences. You've got that. You have that with you. You can take that with you. Nobody can take that away from you. And that is what you have to start realizing. So sit down with these objects, sit down with the thought of these objects, sit down with the thought of these, experiences that you think that you need to have with other people, and realize that it's all within you. You have it all already. And once you come to this realization, and nobody's perfect, and I'm still not there, but I'm on this journey, and I figured I'd talk about it. Once you figure it out, you'll realize that stuff in your life, the stuff that you bought a bigger house just to occupy, really didn't matter at all. Because think about it. Think about all this stuff that you have right now. Think about how much of this stuff didn't exist in 1900, and they still survived, and they thrived. Actually, they were healthier than we are. They didn't have these attachments. They didn't have psychotherapy. They didn't have any of this stuff. Well, they had some of it because people are a little loony, but most of the people did not need this stuff. They occupied their time with things that actually mattered because that's all they had. Now, in this world of, you can go to the grocery store and get your food, you can go to this store and get this. I mean, we're bored out of our minds, and the advertising is real good. Anyway, if this video did you any good, give me a like, subscribe, comments, questions down below, and I'll talk to you in the next video.